Hey everybody, MTG Orzo here with another EDH Commander deck tech. This time we're playing Saskia the Unyielding. She's one of the new 4-color commanders from Commander 16. Sorry guys if you're watching Cedrus. I got bored making those videos, so I stopped, and I'm gonna have a lot more free time now that spring break just hit. But yeah, this deck is, this deck is fun. It's an aggro deck. It's a fair deck. Don't pay attention to Asperia. This is not an Asperia deck. So you know the drill. We're gonna go over some cards, play some games. Who doesn't like Magic the Gathering? So this bitch is a 4-mana 3/4 human soldier for some reason. Well, I guess it's not some reason. Wizards gave this response as to why Saskia is a soldier, not a warrior, when she is very clearly in warrior colors. And I think it has something to do with soldiers being able to function on their own. Or no, it's warriors. Warriors function on their own. Soldiers function in a group or something. So she's just a beater, really. She has Vigilance and Haste, comes down turn 3 or 4 and hits someone, and her second ability enters the battlefield. You choose a player, so in 1v1 you just choose your opponent, I guess most of the time. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, it deals that much to the chosen player. So in multiplayer, you can swing out at someone and then it'll do the damage as well to the person you chose, but in 1v1 you really just some weird, slightly worse double strike. It's still good. It means she attacks for 6, but only 3 commander damage. So it's not the best. It's not the worst. It's a cool general. I like it better than whatever Nephilim was in the not blue colors. So it's 4 colors, and I don't own any real fetch lands, so our mana base is kind of terrible. I went out and bought all of the dual lands in these colors just because it's good to have them. The check lands, command tower, basics, running 8 basics, I think, 4 forests, 2 plains, and a singleton mountain and a singleton swamp. That seems good to me. I really only need basic forest to get mana going. Not super worried about basic lands in this deck. There's not a huge interaction with them. Cultivate. Is there any other card that cares about specifically basic lands? Solemn. Our other land fetches get land types, 3 visits or Farseek or something like that. Wood elves. They all get land types. They can fetch our dual lands. Got anything else spicy? I think we have all 9 million of the temples. Yeah. Yeah, mana base is fairly simple. There's nothing crazy. This deck can't afford to run a lot of colorless sources for effects, the 2 Boros lands from Avacyn Restored and Return to Ravnica, maybe? I don't know. The one, you know what I mean? Slayer Stronghold and Sunhome Fortress of the Legion. Those are not in here because, while they're good in these kinds of decks, they just, I fucking just can't have colorless lands. Ancient Tomb is an exception because, Ancient Tomb could come out for another basic land, but I just like the explosiveness of an Ancient Tomb. This deck is not running a Mana Crypt. I don't know, mostly because there's very few times when it comes in handy. It doesn't help you cast a Saskia, and neither does Soul Ring, but Soul Ring doesn't lightning bolt me every turn. So 1-drops, we've got a kind of cute 3 of each color. This deck is very curve low. It tops out an Aurelia at 1/6 cost. I guess our 2-drop slot is the weakest because most of it is signets. Signets are super important in a 4-color deck, in my opinion. And most of the cool stuff we want to play is at 3 and 4. So we've got Mom, gives protection. Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshare is our removal. We got Carrion Feeder is a nice sack outlet, plays nicely with like Fiend Hunter, so you can do the trick where when it enters the battlefield. So it's different than Banisher Priests, so the abilities are separate on Fiend Hunter. So when it enters the battlefield, you exile target creature, but if that ability hasn't resolved yet, and this leaves the battlefield, the creature will stay exiled. Because it never had a time to get exiled under Fiend Hunter, if that makes any sense. So Carrion Feeder lets you do some fun shenanigans like that, and it also just protects like from like getting your stuff mind controlled or something like that. It's a powerful card for 1 mana. The blocking thing rarely comes in handy, and eventually like you can get some death triggers for your Grim Horror specs on creatures that are already on the way out. Imperial Seal and Vampiric Tutor, just 1 mana tutors. Gamble, speaking of 1 mana tutors. Red Entomb. You know, sometimes you just gotta be greedy and gamble for an Anger, because you're just really playing those odds. Lightning Bolt goes in every red deck. Vandal Blast probably also goes in every red deck. And so then we've got some mana fixing in green. We've got Absence Pilgrim, makes white. Birds of Paradise makes anything. And Elves of the Deep Shadow makes black. It's also one of my favorite arts in all of Magic the Gathering. I think I mentioned that before. Have I ever played a green-black list online? I must have. I'm not remembering. I don't think I've ever played anything green-black. Did I ever play Sultai? No, I don't think so. So yeah, this is just... So if I haven't played any green-black, I enjoy green-black. It's very value. And, you know, Elves of the Deep Shadow. It's a pretty big part of that. I really like this card. Alright, 2 drops. We got Knight's Whisper. Draw some cards. Ancient Grudge is a good reusable artifact. Hate. Also, it's a good pitch card if there's the cards like that in this deck. It's like Wheel of Fortune. If this gets wheeled away, it's not the worst thing in the universe. Tormenting Voice. You know, there's just some card advantage. You can get rid of an Ancient Grudge. You can get rid of an Anger. Get rid of cards you don't really need. Draw some more cards. Farseek, Ramp, Sylvan Library, card filtering. 3 visits Ramp. Hull Breach. I really like this card, but I always think it's an instant, and it's just not. So I'll probably make that mistake in a game. But, you know, it's got a lot of flexibility, and sometimes you can really just blow out, like, turn 1, Soul Ring, turn 2, Phyrexian Arena, and you just sort of conk them in the face. We got Signets. You guys know what Signets do. Dolmen Gate. This is just a really good way to throw all your dudes into the meat grinder and have them come out on the other side. Prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. I think that's all my 2 drop slot. Yeah, alright, so 3 drops. We have Mirror Entity. Mirror Entity is a card that I always put in white aggro lists because I tell myself that eventually it's going to win a game, and it never does, but I see the potential. It's there. I mean, obviously, you lose if you get Mindslavered with a Mirror Entity out because you just pay 0 into its ability and everything you control dies. But it does have the ability to really just kind of take over the game if you have a jillion mana. Recruiter of the Guard is a new card from Conspiracy 2. It's the reverse for Imperial Recruiter, so it grabs things with toughness 2 or less, and a big addition over cards that like couldn't get grabbed by Imperial Recruiter is my favorite card of all time, Flame Tongue Kavu. It also grabs Bloodbright Elf and anything Oddrick. No, not Oddrick. Grabs a Shriek Moth, and that's Grim Horror Specs. Yeah, that's another one. But I mean, Recruiter of the Guard and Imperial Recruiter are just great cards if you're in these colors and are running small dudes that are, you know, costed well effectively with their abilities and power toughness. Grim Horror Specs we talked a little about before, but I mean, you're going into combat, things are going to die. Might as well draw some cards off of it. I very rarely morph this. It just seems way too much. Like, I get it. You cast this down as a morph. and like you flip it up in response to a Wrath and draw 10 million cards. But I don't know. I'd rather just. People are going to target the morph anyway if they're going to do that. I'd rather just pay 3 instead of 4. Wheel, just solid draw. Land ramp, cultivate. What else is also land ramp? We got Cross Grip, deals with stuff we need dealt with. Reclamation Sage, similarly, it can also be fetched by our 2 creature tutors. Ewit gets the stuff back. Now we're going into our like quad removal suite that just gets rid of things we need to get rid of. Anguished Unmaking, exile non-land permanent, instant speed, Vindicate, destroy target permanent, Maelstrom Pulse, destroy target non-land permanent, and fuck over token decks, and Putrefy, destroy target artifact or creature, instant speed. It's pretty good. Harmonic Sliver used to be the only thing you could run for the cost for the Reclamation Sage ability. Now it's been mostly outclassed by Reclamation Sage outside of Sliver decks, but this deck finds a home for it. It's tutorable, and it's just another body on the ground. Wear and Tear, one of the better split cards, does everything you want. It's like a slightly more expensive Hull Breach, but more flexible in a way. And I mean, instant speed is always good. Chromatic Lantern is very good in a 4-color deck. Alright, Hero Blade Hole in this deck, if this sticks around, you win the game. It's just that good. Battle Cry is a very underrated ability, especially when it brings in 2/1s. Just remember to stack your triggers correctly. Audric, if you're attacking with 3 guys, they're all unblockable unless you need to kill a guy. Faceless Butcher is another creature that you can use the Carrion Feeder trick with. So it's just a Fiend Hunter that's slightly more powerful for 4 mana, but it also, gets value off of your Carrion Feeder. Necrotal, Doomblade's a guy. It's fine. It's cool art. Soft spot for this card. Anger gives all your guys haste, but in this deck actually it's a valuable or a viable strategy to actually just throw anger at your opponent because of Saskia's ability until it dies and gives all your stuff haste. The big boy himself, Flame Tongue Kavu, in a battlefield, Flame Slash, just a very good card. Blazing Spectre, Flying Haste, discard a card, a simple card, but one I like to ramp into early in the game. Bloodbraid Elf, I mean, almost all of our stuff we want to cascade into, so pretty happy with this card in this deck. Iroas gives all our guys Menace, and then eventually becomes this semi-unblockable 7/4 indestructible creature, so it's hard to argue with that. Solemn does Solemn things, you know what Solemn does. And the Scourge of Standard Siege Rhino gets played in this deck. A 4-mana 4/5 Trampler that drains for 3 is pretty good, especially when it deals 8 damage with a Saskia out. 5 drops, we got Revelark and Karmic Guide to do the shenanigans. Don't have a, whatever it's called. What is that thing called? We got Safi, there it is, Safi Eriksdotter. I don't have one of those for the shenanigans, but I guess I could. Shriekmaw kills a guy. Zealous Conscripts steals a guy. No Kiki combo in this one, though I do own a Kiki Jiki. I don't know, just 3 red, just makes you want to kill myself, even in like 2 colors. Overwhelming Stampede, win condition. Just, this card is real good. Ankle Shanker, surprisingly good in this deck. It's a 5-mana haster that makes your guys all unblockable, which is fair enough. And if they need to block, you kill their creatures, so it's slightly better than unblockable. And we got Big Mama Aurelia topping the curve, helping us out aggro everybody. So that's the deck. We're gonna play a couple games with it. I'll try and actually upload on some sort of schedule. I'll see you guys later.